Okay, let's talk about market sophistication and awareness mapping when it comes to the different funnels. Now, I want you to understand this relates to two different types of things. Number one, the audience that you may be talking to, and also the type of offer that you have. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So if you've watched any previous lessons, we talked about Eugene Schwartz's market awareness, right? Stage one, they're unaware. They have no idea what the offer is, but that could also mean they're unaware and they don't have any idea who you are. Okay, so that's what I meant about the awareness and sophistication of your audience relates to both their awareness and sophistication around the industry or the product that you have, but also your offer. Okay, so we have to be aware of these two things. Stage two, I'll go through each one of these. Stage 2 or 3 is like problem and solution aware. Stage 4 is product and most aware. They know what the product is. The awareness is going to dictate the funnel entry. All right, so we're not going to push a webinar if the market doesn't even know they have a problem yet, or they don't know who you are yet. It can be very difficult, right? So let's walk through each one of these. So stage 1, unaware. These are people who have no idea. It could be one of two things. They have no idea that they have a problem or that there's a solution that's out there. They're very green in the industry. Very few people are this way, but this can also apply to people who have no idea who you are. You're marketing to people who have no idea who you are. You've got to do, and I don't want to call it branding and brand development, but you've got to do a little bit of awareness campaign. And typically what I use for that is a lead magnet. I'm going to go back and forth between the elite marketing system a lot. The lead magnet is a great opportunity. It's a micro commitment. It's bringing people into your ecosystem so that you can further develop that trust with them. It's a pretty simple concept. And you've got to do this with people who are in stage 1. So if you're a newer advertiser or you have a very small social following, you don't have any of that street cred that I mentioned in that last video, right? People don't know who you are. They don't know what you offer yet. So it's okay to do a lead magnet. And that funnel process is going to be a little bit longer. You might have to do an opt-in. You might have to run an opt-in to a lead magnet. Maybe it's a course that you're running to, and it's a very broad kind of simple course. It's free, maybe a low ticket product, but then you're going to do other things. You're going to run retargeting campaigns that you might run to a later on funnel like stage 2, which would be a webinar or VSL funnel, because now they've identified, right? You've identified the problem for them, or you've made them aware who you are. Okay. Now we're going to move them on to something else that's going to take them to that next level. So it might be a webinar or a VSL, right? So we might do an automated webinar, or maybe we might do, a live webinar or a live event. We might do a VSL at this stage, because now we're taking them to that next stage. Now, product stage 4 to 5, what you offer, they've been in your list a little bit, or they're aware of the different types of coaching programs that are out there. These are people we can run to that application funnel, right? We can run straight to a VSL because we're doing retargeting, right? Where there's a lot of proof on the page, testimonials, it's a longer video. This is what I use for a lot of the middle funnel, bottom funnel traffic. So if you're running paid ads, this type of market sophistication is perfect for that type of funnel. Right? So we're running straight to the VSL. We're going to run straight to maybe even a webinar, depending if it's, how aware they really are. If someone's been on your list and they've followed you on social media, then they have a pretty good idea who you are and what you offer. So you don't need to market a stage 1 funnel strategy to them. You don't need to send them to a newer, broad lead magnet, like a PDF document. You can send them to a lead magnet that is a higher level intention. So I'm talking about the VSL, right? Maybe it's a mini masterclass or a challenge, or it's a new event, something that you're doing. It's a higher intent action that they take. You can run that to stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 type people. So it's just becoming aware of where your market is at in your funnel and in your journey. That's going to determine what step you take. The mistake that I see a lot of people making is they see some guru who does a webinar, and they're like, oh, that webinar was so good. And I'll use Alex Hormozi as a great example, because Alex did a recent webinar and had this was his book, his most recent, I think, $100 million deal book. He sold $100 million in one day or something like that. And people are like, okay, I'm going to do a webinar funnel. And they're running ads directly to a webinar funnel, and they're running it to top of funnel cold traffic. And people have no idea who they are. They have no trust whatsoever. And they're spending all this money and they're like, why aren't people registering? Why aren't people showing up? Why aren't people booking calls? It's because they're trying to duplicate something. It's a completely different market awareness. The people who registered for Alex Hormozi's webinar were stage 4 and 5. They knew who he was. They knew what he offered. They knew that there was going to be a pitch on there and they were just waiting to buy it. So trying to duplicate the different stages that other people are doing can be really dangerous because you can spend a lot of money realizing that you should have started with stage 1. The problem is people have lost their patience, right? They want to go back to, a few years ago when it was easy. Opt in and book a call. The old 7-day journey, right? The 7-day attribution that people look in there at Meta ads, Facebook ads back then, right? And they want that again. Those days are over. I'm sorry, right? But if you have a high ticket funnel, e-commerce is totally different. Less than a 1-day window. People should be buying immediately. But for high ticket that requires a sales call, right? We're talking the sales call funnel. In order for this to happen, you've got to meet people where they're at. And so it's really, really important that you understand who your market is, yes, but where they're at in terms of the journey. And that's going to determine what kind of ad campaigns you're running. It's going to determine what kind of lead magnets or education magnets. Maybe I'll coin that phrase. Right? Because education magnets are still lead magnets. Like a webinar is still a lead magnet. A VSL is still a lead magnet. It's just a different conversation. And you're going to have lots of different ones depending on where people are in this journey. And you're going to retarget to different ones depending on where their awareness is in that journey. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully this was useful to you guys. We'll see you in the next lesson.